I have a very good habit of bringing a list of very niche and interesting books from the library. And this one is about creating business model. I'm making a business in a creative and artistic sphere for more than 5 years. This year I need to adjust its business model. A video production, a film production, we make animations, documentaries, films. Because I want to improve how I spend time on it, work with my team, and I want to improve basically everything. This book is written by two guys who brought to life this scheme of making business models. This one, very famous scheme. If you do business, you've probably seen this scheme. It's about making business models, business plans, segments of clients, client relationships, channels to giving clients its value, proposition of value itself, key actions and partners and costs and revenues, etc. It's used in almost any economic school nowadays, in most of private universities who deal with economy. It got very popular. One of the examples they provide here is how Apple sold its first iPod. It's a very fun thing to understand because on the one hand, they are a business that tries to say a lot about how innovative it is. And they have a public opinion of being innovative and of bringing new products that no one has ever seen. But they do a completely other category of business. They provide they provided a more useful, more usable version of the products that were here with us before, of existing products. If you take iPod, it's not an innovative product in itself. It started as a usual player that was just made in a better way, probably. But what made it different is the inclusion of iTunes Store a year after its launch and other things. And the main thing is how the company itself marketed it, what the company itself said about this product and about themselves. This public image of Apple being an innovative company was not born because of journalists, was not born because of bloggers, was not born because of user opinion about their products. It was born simply because of how the company itself and company leaders seen that company and how they wanted for others to perceive it. This happens time and time and time again. People will say about you the thing that you say about you.
About you, what you say about yourself by yourself.
The key rule is people will say about you whatever you say about yourself. It happens time and time again in history, in politics, in culture, in business. I can mention dozens of examples, and even if you are opposing to a certain public figure, a politician, a cultural leader, a businessman in his or her company, you nonetheless are working with the same discourse, with the same arguments. You need to either say about how it is, for example, innovative, or about how it isn't innovative. Now when I'm talking about Apple here, I had two rants about this company nowadays, and I don't agree that they are innovative, but the thing is, they do not try to be innovative. This is not a correct criticism of that company. The criticism should be that they make life more difficult, not simpler in many aspects nowadays. But this innovative aspect is what they want public to see them. Like dozens of years, since 80s, Apple wanted for clients, for the whole world to see itself as innovative, inventive company that provides new things. And it never was, like, since its beginning. At its very beginning, yes, and there were also certain technologies that they provided that were new, but their main products that we know them for example, iPhone, MacBooks, iPod, their other digital solutions, were not new, were not innovative. They combined some of the best practices that other companies used at that time. At the moment of launch of most of those products, they were genuinely better than most others. I do not agree that it is that way now, but it doesn't matter. They created such a public image, and people are talking about it this way. They are either agreeing with it or disagreeing with it. And the same thing happens to me. I notice more and more that people talk about me in the same exact way that I talk about myself and about my projects. I can talk about what I've done in life in dozens of various ways. About me creating communities in multiple countries, about me making cinema that impacts people here and there, that impacts people here locally and globally. I can talk about helping local businesses grow in a very turbulent and difficult time. I can tell about this narrative of me helping creatives with their creative ruts and problems and helping to solve it. I can speak about how I influenced my culture and made it spread in new various ways, an endangered culture, and it needs to be spread and understood and remade in various new ways. And that's what I also done in many years. And there are many narratives that I can push myself, and based on what I select, based on what I choose, people start to talk about it this way. Whether I meet with someone and they ask me questions, whether I go to a certain media, whether I look at my social media profiles and see comments, etc. People say about me whatever I want this public perception to be. Hopefully you will also try to make sense of what of those narratives, what of those stories do you have, what you want others to tell about yourself, the things you make, about the products you make or services that you provide, or about artworks that you create. It matters because this way you can basically shape and form not just a public opinion, but what you do, your products themselves. I also recommend to read this book about business models. Besides this example about Apple, it has a lot of various examples. It states a lot about different kinds of companies, about how they work, about whether companies can be innovative or work with infrastructure or work on client relations, and what's best for those types of companies or creators is also dependent on what is this type, dependent on what other formulas and scripts and just common sense may be applied to it. By the way, I do not only do business, I am also opening a solo exhibition in a couple of weeks. It will be in Central Europe, in Poland, but a lot of other events and projects are organized online by me constantly. I like to do things offline, locally at the place I live in, but I also try my best to make useful stuff for people all over the world. And I ask you to state your opinion on any of this in the comments, maybe your experience related to your public image and perception, or to public perception of a company that you make, or about other companies that you think about. And we may have a very cool discussion here. I reply to every comment of yours. This art that I make, it's called Version Forms. When I select poems, texts from all over the world that I love, that I think are great, I start to write them letter by letter, word by word, and then I get a visual image. I'm making this since 2018, and this for me became a way to talk to people, because I often do this in public and people get interested and they start talking to me and we talk about a lot of different stuff. And it's also a way to showcase those aspects of culture that I love in a completely new, interesting way. And that's what I am trying to do in any project of mine, to give a new perspective, a curious way of seeing things or doing things. And hopefully this video also gave a kind of new perspective, a new insight on familiar topics. Thank you that you watched this video till the very end. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.